Picture this. Van Gogh and his fellow painter, Paul Gauguin, are living together in the bright yet tumultuous French city of Arles. They're two genius artists sharing ideas, paints, and probably more than a few heated arguments. After all, artists have a certain reputation for eccentricity, drama, and even a touch of madness, don't they? It's a relationship that's equal parts creative collaboration and explosive drama, like an artistic odd couple, minus the sitcom laugh track. What we know for sure is that Van Gogh's ear ends up detached from his head one fateful night in late December. Exactly how it happened, though, that's less clear. Theories abound, and history has kindly left us guessing. Imagine Van Gogh deeply immersed in the vibrant but brutal local tradition of bullfighting, inspired by the triumphant matador who claims a bull's ear as a prize. Van Gogh, perhaps seeing himself as both victorious and vanquished, might have adopted this ritual symbolically. One quiet, moonlit evening, brush replaced by razor, the artist turns his metaphorical battlefield inward. Only problem, traditionally it's the bull's ear, not your own, that's the trophy. Another intriguing theory, posed by historians Hans Kaufmann and Rita Wildgens, suggests a more dramatic scenario. Picture the scene. A fiery argument escalates between Van Gogh and Gauguin. So, most likely pickled in cheap alcohol, they decide to solve their disagreement with a sword fight. Gauguin, renowned for his swordsmanship, and perhaps a little too passionate about his viewpoints, might have swung his blade a bit too close in heated frustration. The accidental slice leaves Van Gogh injured, and both men panicked, quickly concocting a story to save Gauguin from serious trouble. There's a kind of gallantry in this scenario, a strange sort of honor between two gentlemen. Van Gogh seems rather stoic and kind, quietly absorbing the blame to protect his friend from harm, but come on. Accidental sword injuries between painters? Clearly, artists should come with warning labels. Yet the most widely accepted story is one deeply rooted in tragedy. Van Gogh, profoundly troubled by mental illness, finds himself engulfed in emotional torment, following another intense clash with Gauguin. Alone, he deliberately slices off his left ear. Perhaps as punishment, perhaps as escape. Yet, mental anguish alone might not fully explain Van Gogh's drastic act. Health professionals theorize he might have been suffering from tinnitus or Meniere's disease, conditions creating incessant ringing and overwhelming dizziness. Paired with existing emotional turmoil, the relentless torment of physical symptoms could have become an unbearable tipping point. Perhaps Van Gogh's tragic act was born of burdens too heavy to bear, mind and body tragically united in an unbearable symphony of pain. Though Van Gogh never clearly explained the event, a letter co-authored with his doctor shortly afterwards reveals significant mental anguish. Mental illness plus disagreement equals removal of an ear. Now that he's made the point, whatever it might have been, he's holding the severed ear. And the question then, what exactly do I do with this thing? Behind the shock value lies the heart-wrenching reality of Van Gogh's battle with mental illness. A brilliant artist's emotional pain captured not just on canvas, but in an act so dramatic it's never forgotten. Yet, even amid such despair, practical questions arise. After you cut off your ear, what's the proper etiquette for giving it away? So, faced with a bizarre yet profound etiquette dilemma, Van Gogh chooses to gift his severed ear. But to whom? And how exactly does one deliver such an unusual package? Early accounts suggest Rachel, a local prostitute, was the surprised recipient. Not your typical holiday present, admittedly, but certainly memorable. And recent scholarship offers another possibility. Gabrielle Berlathier, an 18-year-old cleaning woman at the brothel, who was burdened by medical debts that she was trying to pay off. Familiar with hardship, intended it as a bizarre, symbolic gesture of solidarity. Either way, imagine unwrapping an ear from a paper package. There's definitely no clear etiquette for that. Ultimately, the truth about Van Gogh's missing ear remains elusive. Multiple accounts of how and why that infamous ear took leave of its anchorage are available, each one obscured by contradictions, limited evidence, and the complexities of human psychology. Whether a product of intense emotion, or a symbolic act misunderstood, or simply a tragedy of mental illness, the event continues to fascinate and perplex. Perhaps the real art here is the mystery itself, the unanswered questions that keep Van Gogh vividly alive in our imagination. In his tragic struggle, did Van Gogh unwittingly craft his most enduring masterpiece? Could this eccentric genius have imagined the lasting intrigue his actions would create? So, here's an else. Sometimes history leaves us with puzzles rather than portraits. Van Gogh's missing ear is a piece we'll never quite place, no matter how we frame it. And that's it. An ounce, submitted for your consideration. Enjoyed the story? Lend me an ear and maybe a like or subscribe and a share. And don't worry, unlike Vincent van Gogh, you can keep your ear when you click the notification bell. And if this bizarre tale intrigued you, try these next. The distasteful history of toothpaste and You've Been Lied To, the truth behind history's biggest myths. Dive in. Thanks.